Who is Hubert Davis getting ready to go get in the portal? Hello everyone, my name is Nathan. I am one half of your Heel Brothers. And today's video is going to be about the players that I believe that North Carolina should target in the portal and the positions that they may need in the portal. Now, before we get into it, if you're new to the channel, be sure and go to the bottom of this video and click the like button. Also click that subscribe button and join the Heel Brothers community of Tar Heel fans. We absolutely enjoy having you guys here, and we want to make this community even bigger and bigger and bigger each time. So be sure to click that subscribe button, click the notification bell to never miss a video, and we absolutely appreciate that. Now, North Carolina is losing a lot of players to graduation and only one so far in the transfer portal. So Armando Bacot, Cormac Ryan, Paxton Wojcik being your notable three guys that are out of eligibility and will no longer be with the team, but also one transfer in James Okonkwo. It's actually kind of fitting. One of the last videos I put up about UNC basketball was stating players that I think that should probably hit the portal or that may hit the portal. And sure enough, Okonkwo was on that list, and that very same day he hit the portal. But since there are going to be holes on this team, Carolina is going to have to be able to refill them to be able to field a good basketball team. And Hubert Davis is already heavily working in the portal right now and talking to players. A couple of them actually we're going to mention in today's video as well. But these are the players that I believe that Carolina needs to target, and also the positions that they need to target and why. Now, number one, before we get into it, I just want to say that this list is predicated on RJ Davis and Harrison Ingram no longer being with the team. So it's basically worst case scenario, if you will, there. I understand that they haven't made their decisions to absolutely leave yet. They haven't made the decision to come back home either. So we need to look at this as a worst case scenario in RJ Davis and Harrison Ingram. And if they do come back, that will just help this team out and will keep them from having to get as many players out of the portal. So with Bacot, Cormac, Wojcik, RJ, and Harrison gone, that would leave us with Jalen Withers, Seth Trimble, Jalen Washington, Elliot Cadeau, and Zayden High on the team for next year. Also with incoming freshmen in Drake Powell, Ian Jackson, and also James Brown. Now, just looking at that list straight off the cuff, it looks pretty good, I'm not going to lie. I'm really high on Ian Jackson and Drake Powell coming in. Excited to see what James Brown, also a center, is going to be able to do in this system under Hubert Davis. Really excited to see what Jalen Washington will do in this another year of Hubert Davis's offense and his team and his structure here. But there's a couple of things that we've noticed throughout even this season and years prior that North Carolina needs to do better at getting. Number one, the biggest thing is size. This year, this Achilles heel for this North Carolina team that we just saw finish up a little over a couple of weeks ago now, they did not have the size needed to be able to contend with teams like Kentucky and UConn and Clemson in that one game there, and Alabama to end the season there in the March Madness tournament. North Carolina needs some size, and that's what leads me to my number one position that they need to get is they need to get a center. Now, there's a couple of them in the portal right now that people are looking at heavily. Big names, starting off with Arizona center, and I'm hoping I'm saying this right, Omar Ballo. He is a fifth-year senior. He's 7 foot. He averaged 13.1 points per game, 47 blocks on the year this year, and averaged 10.2 rebounds per game. He's a really big, thick center that gets in there. He gets after it. 47 blocks, scored over, I think it was 400 points this year. He is going after it, and I think that if Carolina can get him, he's a senior guy, and this team this year coming in is going to be a little bit younger than we've saw in years past. So you bring in a guy like Omar, you're going to be able to have senior depth there, and a guy that understands exactly his role and understands the big moments there. And I think that's going to be huge for North Carolina if they are to be able to get him. And I know people are absolutely blowing his line up right now, and I'm right there with him. Big guy, 7 foot, can get after it, can play hard and physical, and I think Carolina could use a guy like that. Another guy is a guy that North Carolina actually played against earlier in the season in Aaron Bradshaw, the Kentucky freshman, the guy that come out there in the Kentucky-North Carolina game and just gave Armando Bacot a time down there in the paint. He is a 7'1" center. He recorded 86 rebounds and 19 blocks in his first year in the John Calipari system. And I thought he played really well against North Carolina. Now, the biggest thing that I have a kind of against him is his size, his girth, if you will. He's not the biggest guy in the world. Me and Alan was kind of talking. He has that sort of Chet Holmgren type build there, and going up against bigger guys, I wonder if he's going to struggle there. He may very well do that, but his numbers in his first year don't jump off the page at you, but you can tell freshman guy getting his feet wet, really started to play a lot, and showed out against North Carolina. He started to play a lot more for this team down the stretch as they went on, and I think that he could be a pretty good addition to add to this young team and give some good competition to a guy like Jalen Washington. Another one is a transfer from Yale. This is one that I have talked about on the YouTube community page of our Hill Brothers channel. You guys can always go check that out, and I try to update it as North Carolina is talking to players, whether it be football or basketball, when it comes to transfers or any of that nature. I try to keep everybody update there as much as possible. But this is Danny Wolf, the sophomore out of Yale. He is a 7-foot forward. He averaged 14.1 points per game this year on 9.7 rebounds and 35% from three, and he shot 29 threes on the year. So a guy that can play that 4 position. He's athletic. He can get after it. He's again not the biggest guy in the world, but he has decent size, and I think that he could give North Carolina a good edge over some guys that you're going to contend with in the ACC. You got to think a guy like Cooper Flagg is coming in next year that's going to play that 4 position more than that 5. So someone to be able to guard and contend with him, but also a guy that can flow in Hubert Davis's offense. And what do we see Hubert Davis wanting to go to more now? Positionless basketball. That's where the league's going. That's where all of this is heading towards. And the more guys that Carolina can find that can switch out on all positions 1 through 5 defensively and can take the matchups one-on-one on offense, that's going to be the type of guys that Hubert Davis and Carolina are definitely going to want to target, and I could see them going after it. But with that, I think North Carolina, given that Seth Trimble comes back, and I will never forget that name again, you guys that watched the previous video know exactly what I'm talking about. I think Carolina's good at the guard spot. Now, again, this is all predicated that Seth Trimble does stay with the team, which I do believe that he will. Same thing with Elliot Cadeau. I like Carolina's guards coming in the shooting guard position. I do believe that Carolina is going to need to go out and find another shooting guard, maybe someone like a Paxson Wojcik like you had last year, guy a little bit more seniored and understands the importance of games throughout the season, a guy that can give kind of a leadership role there. And then also with your forwards, at small forward, I think North Carolina has to go out there and get him a small forward. Definitely have to go get a small forward or two just to go out and beef up that position there, because with losing Cormac, he played your 3 pretty much all year. You're going to need someone to fill in for that spot. And, you bring in a guy like Danny Wolf, that'll help. A guy like Withers, him staying, that would be a good rotation piece off the bench. But Carolina's going to need some help there in the forward spot. And thankfully with Drake Powell coming in, he's going to give you a little bit of help there. First-year guy, freshman, we don't know what he's going to be like. We can all see what he's been throughout his high school career, which has been amazing. I think he could be really good for North Carolina, but I think it would be helpful for Carolina to go out and get a small forward that is senior. Doesn't have to be a guy that can start right away, but maybe somebody that could challenge Drake Powell for that number 1 spot and can help Drake Powell mature into this team and get used to the bearings of it. So I think it's going to be fun. North Carolina right now is very interesting in the portal, in my opinion, just because of the team that they have. So far, we've only had 1 transfer, and I kind of feel like we may end up staying there. I don't see anybody else leaving. I could be wrong, depending on how this whole center thing goes. And Carolina, talking at Danny Wolf, Bradshaw being on the market, also Ballo being on the market, depending on if and who they bring in at the center position, we could potentially see the movement of a Jalen Washington. Personally, I don't want to see that myself, but at the same time, you got James Brown coming in this year. Curious to see how he goes. Zayden High is a guy that's going to be he's not going to be on the court much. He really isn't. The little bit that he is, kind of in garbage time. Could he potentially grow into be someone that can help you maybe, a minute here and there in certain games? Yes, maybe so. We don't know. But so far, I don't think Zayden High is going to be seeing the floor too much. So this really does come down to James Brown, Jalen Washington, and if anybody or Hubert decides to bring in a center, which I do believe that they will. But do you agree with my list? Tell me what you guys think down in the comments below. I want to hear what you all have to say. This is a great, interesting time right now. You never know when the news is going to pop off, and it seems like so many people are hitting the portal right now, especially now that Calipari has left Kentucky, Bradshaw being one of those people. They had a decommit, and it's interesting to see how the portal times are. It's always a fun time. It's like free agency. I absolutely love that stuff, and it's just a good time. But anyway, I want to thank you all for watching. Thank you all for being here, and as always, go Heels.
You don't want love!
I'm good, I was